Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Beth Walsh Stewart in the studio today with Lee Kimball, my partner. How are you today, Lee?
I am well, Beth. I am well. If I could just ask our friend Phil if I could have just a little bit more volume on my headphone, please.
Well, that would be wonderful. Phil is our
Wonderful. That's
producer
wonderful.
today. And we're really grateful to Phil. We're giving Mr. B a day off, and Phil is here filling in. And that's how you remembered his name? Is that what you said to him?
That was my association. Yes,
Very well
indeed.
done. Well, we did a workshop this past weekend, Lee, on volatile emotions, and I thought that that might be a good topic for us to go over today with our friends on the radio.
Absolutely.
On Saturday, when we did the workshop, I wrote a wonderful quote on the board, and it was from John Lennon. And the quote said this: "One thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside."
Oh, yeah.
It's very true, isn't it?
Yep, yep.
Sometimes when you're broken inside, you can feel it, and it's hard, but other people can't.
And you can tie it to All You Need Is Love.
Absolutely. You're going to
Which
sing
may have
his
been
next song.
McCartney.
Yeah. But many of us have gone through life trying to manage situations that are out of our control. And, maybe it was a dominant parent or rejection by our childhood friends, or where they even maybe bullied us and called us names. Or that feeling of not being enough or not getting enough. Maybe we're not getting something we thought we really needed.
And back to the old powerlessness.
Yeah, they're just issues that can make us feel in a big way, but respond in a small way. Maybe the dominant parent wouldn't tolerate us being angry, so we couldn't be. Maybe the judgmental sidekicks were calling us names and packing together, and we couldn't tell them, hey, that hurts my feelings.
Well, how many times have you heard people reference that they were told, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, that's tough stuff, isn't it? Yeah, maybe the thing we were short of, whether it was food on the plate or something, or somebody to listen to us. How about that? Somebody just to listen to us. Maybe, they don't show up, and there's no place to go to ask. There's no place to even beg. You're kind of stuck on your own. So these things, they bring up emotions. And emotions kind of go up and down. And that's what we're talking about today. We're on Facebook again with our friends, aren't we?
We are. I'm trying to find it. I believe we're live, but
we're not sure.
I'm not seeing it yet.
He thinks we're live, but we're not sure. So if you're looking on Facebook, hang in there. We're gonna try and get with you. But we're talking today about emotions that we tried to hide sometimes. After getting used to some of the broken places that there were as a regular part of life, we begin to think that evading our emotions is the correct way to deal with them. I remember I was talking with a woman the other day, and she said that the coolest thing, she said, did I not do it right?
Yeah, I don't see us live on your page.
Okay. Well, she had said, well, at least we're live on the radio, so we'll
Yes,
keep
indeed.
going for that. But she said, when she gets big emotions, what she likes to do is avoid them.
Avoidance is her tool.
That's her tactic. Her tactic is avoidance. And, this can set us up from an early age with patterns that work against our highest good. She probably learned that as a kid. Maybe she was one of the kids who says, I'll give you something to cry about. So she just avoided when she felt like crying. She just avoided that emotion, and I don't know what to tell you.
Well, we develop skills to deal with life on life's terms, if you will, and they may work, but they may not be in our best interest.
Absolutely. Well, how do they play out? Let's look at a few scenarios to see if anybody listening can identify. Say number one, you don't blow up at others who bother you, but you give them attitude.
The old passive aggressive.
Yeah, you get short in your words or judgmental in your facial expressions. It settles you for a bit, kind of like unscrewing a bottle of Coke and letting a little bit of the pressure out, but not letting it explode.
Yeah. Yep.
That's one way people might hide emotions.
Well, at the workshop, we spoke about silent scorn.
Absolutely. I'm looking at this, sorry. Silent scorn.
Yeah. Where, I'll get disturbed or upset, so I just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm irritated, but I'm not expressing it. I'm turning it all inward, and my way of how you're going to pay for it is I'm not going to engage with you.
Well, that was one of the things we said. You shut up. You cut communication as a form of a sideways or twisted control. Yeah, that's one of them. How about this one? You don't express your emotions because you know no one will understand anyway. Nobody's going to understand, so why should I even tell you how I feel? You don't even get it. Nobody cares about me. Nobody checks on me. Or how about this one? You play the I could care less game in new relationships. Rocks your boat. You're just boom. This is how I am. Take it or leave it. The fifth one that we talked about was you take it out on others, innocent bystanders and undeserving individuals that cross your path when you hit a blow-up point. Maybe the poor dog walks in the room and you snap at them. And bam, the poor dog didn't do anything wrong. That dog was just loving you the whole time. But he walked in at the wrong time and he got it.
There's so many examples where we can, in the old days, they used to call it coming out of the side of your neck.
Yeah. Well, where the emotions come out, because they're going to come out.
Oh, yeah. They don't just
stagnate.
Yep.
Well, if you do share your heavy feelings with someone else and it doesn't go well, some of us vow to never share big feelings with anyone ever again. It's kind of like, that's it. I'm not doing it again. Or you share only opinions, never feelings. No, I'm not sharing my feelings. Or, how about this one? If you drink, and you drink too much, watch out. You could say anything to anybody. You don't know, you have no control. All of a sudden, you're like, this is my chance to be who I want to be. I can't seem to stop myself, so I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go.
But there are people, even not drinking. I had somebody once tell me that, well, if it's in your head, it falls out your mouth. So, and that was something I worked on. So, that is.
It's tough stuff.
Our Facebook friends, we're going to work. I'm going to take a look at it on the break because we know we're not with you, but we will be.
Yeah. How about this one? Have you ever shamed yourself? Like, having big emotions is optional. So, if you have them, you're a jerk. You're such a loser. Why do you think like that? Why do you go that way? What's going on with that? You're just a loser. You can't be cool, calm, and collected like everybody else.
Well, now you're back.
It starts with I am. The next word can be a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking to yourself negatively, it can be really bad. How about the last one? I'll give you one more. You break down from time to time in tears. Just out of the blue, boom. Yeah, that's it. I'm broken. I'm crying and I can't stop it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I'm this upset. It shouldn't be like this, but I can't help myself. I'm really upset. You ever get like that?
Well, yeah, but there can be exceptions because I'm like that. And it's not necessarily that I'm upset. I think that I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah.
Well, we're speaking about emotions, and and I am a crier. My daughter used to tease me that, Dad, you cry during dog food commercials. So
you're touched and it makes you cry.
Yeah, it's
something touches you.
Yep.
Well, it can be the other way. It can be that you haven't let anything touch you for a long time, so now something got you and you can't help yourself.
Your emotions runneth over.
Yeah. If you can see yourself in any of these patterns we've just been talking about, don't worry. It's almost natural to many of us because we grew up in dysfunction. We look at the latest polls and statistics on dysfunction, and they're saying that 90 to 95% of American families are dysfunctional. So if you're listening to my voice and you're in the United States, chances are good you grew up in dysfunction.
And if you're wearing the skin suit we talk about, you have emotions.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it.
Yeah, and it's not unusual to want to avoid pain. That's human nature. Let's face it, life on life's terms can hurt. And we've developed ways to avoid pain. And they're not always good ways, especially if they do with disavowing our emotions or separating from our emotions.
And our listeners that are more attuned to seeking, you can have a different perspective on pain also. Because I was just having this conversation with my lovely Elizabeth before I came in.
That's
Pain-
Lee's daughter. If you're new to the radio show, that's Lee's daughter,
My
Elizabeth.
darling, my little girl, my little 29-year-old baby. But there's an old saying, pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in some of the books that we reference, we frequently speak of the 12 steps programs, the different 12-step programs. And in their literature, it speaks of the value of pain if you recognize it. That pain can, take you somewhere, can serve a purpose if I change my attitude.
Yeah. The other morning I heard a man talking on another radio station.
Oh, you traitor.
I know. Well, I just was for a minute, but he was talking. It was an interesting thing. He talked about the prodigal son story, and he mentioned that both boys in that story were wrong. They were off. One of them was, I want what I want. I want my inheritance now. I'll see you later. And he went out into the world with the inheritance. He blew it. He drank. He partied. He blew the money, and he came back to his family like with his tail between his legs, like I screwed up and I'm very sorry, and and his father welcomed him back.
Mm-hmm.
His father was so excited to see him. The other son was irritated. Like, what do you mean?
What's up with that?
Yeah, he's coming back. He gets to come back. And the funny thing is, they were both broken people, but the one who had the pain was the one who found himself.
Mm.
It's kind of an interesting thought. And that's the deal. Pain is the touchstone of spiritual progress, meaning that when you know pain, sometimes spiritual things come a little bit more easily to you because you're trying to overcome pain.
Well, my toughest lessons have been my best lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I get a great deal of growth when I go through trials and tribulations, if you will. Because I've acquired the experience to know that, first of all, those wonderful 4 words, I hated them so much the first time a mentor said them to me, this too shall pass. Whatever I'm going through, it's not forever. There's going to be changes and shifts. But as I've gone through things and lived through them and worked through them, I find out I come out on the other side with new perspectives and new experience.
Doing better. Yeah. Well, a lot of this comes from when we were small. Many homes had tough issues for a youngster to deal with. And these could be abuse, they could be abandonment, it could be alcoholism or substance abuse of your caretaker, of your parent, or whoever's taking care of you. It could be just unhealthy parents. It could be toxic teachings. There's so many different forms of family dysfunction. So a lot of the emotional issues we deal with today as adults have a root back in our childhood.
Well, today a hot button topic is bullying. You didn't hear about it when we were growing up, but I know that I still remember the kids that were the AV kids, the audiovisual kids in school. Right. And today they may be considered the nerds. Today they're all making 6 figures.
Well, I was thinking about Radio Shack? They have not Radio Shack, Best Buy that has the Geek Squad.
Yep.
The Geek Squad.
Which is kind of derogatory.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, but no, they've turned it around.
Yes.
Because
it's an attribute. Yeah,
technology is a tough thing, and if you find somebody that gets it, you want them. You want them close. Hey, show me how to do this.
But when you were growing up, how if you were the geek, how were you treated? How were you thought of?
Absolutely. Well, in places like that, and back when we were young, and there was abuse and there was problems in homes, communication was limited at best and non-existent at worst.
Well, there's still problems in homes.
Yeah. In most cases, children learn that it's not safe to share heavy emotions. Or worse, they don't have anybody to share them with. Both parents are working. But, there's nobody safe really to share them with. So they do the only thing that's left to do. They stuff them. They stuff their emotions. And why would they do that? Well, it's a natural response. It's totally natural. It's animal instinct to fight, flight, or flee. Or freeze, excuse me.
Flight and flee or freeze.
Yeah, they're the same. Flee and flight are the same. But fight, flight, or freeze. That's the animal instinct. And whether you like it or not, we're animals. We're not vegetables. We're not minerals.
Isn't there a song?
But we're animals, and we're going to have those basic parts of our nature. And when we come up against something that threatens, we react. That's what humans do. Some of us fight. We stand our ground and we defend it. Others take flight. You know, they size up the situation and think it's beyond their capacity and they run. The last group is confronted and they freeze. And in some cases, in the animal world, the ones that freeze won't be detected by the enemy. You know, they kind of blend into the background.
Oh, like our little chameleons.
Yeah, they like, if I just stay frozen, they won't see me here. I know that as a kid, I did that sometimes. Tough stuff when you think about it. Like, I'll just blend in with the wall here and be really quiet. And when it passes, I'll sneak away.
Now, when you say freeze, it makes me think of choke also.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one, huh?
You know, just, I got nothing.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough stuff. So we're talking about this. We're talking about heavy emotions, volatile emotions. Do you have them? What do you do with yours? That's what we're wondering. What do you do with yours? Because they can be a lot to manage. You know, here at Beth we have things on our website that might help you. Go to bethwe.com and look around. Look through the blogs. Look through the other things. There's things that can help. How about if we take a short break and we come back to this?
Sounds good.
What do you think? We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're talking about volatile emotions. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the Beth Wee Radio Hour. Don't forget to check in at www.bethwee.com for
Hey,
more
Beth.
insights and information on how to connect
In
this
the
big,
beginning,
crazy
Huh?
world.
You just went to that green thing?
www.bethwee.com.
Yes.
You got to go to the icon on the main screen and
Well,
open
he
it.
says, cannot publish the stream, verify the stream name, blah, blah, blah. He came and did it.
I clicked the OK on that before. I got that too.
Oh. So where do you do that? To turn this off, right?
Back in 10 seconds.
I'll look at it on the half.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Beth Walsh-Stewart in the studio with Lee Kimball. We're talking about volatile emotions. You know, so many of us came from homes that had dysfunction in them. It's nothing. We're not saying anything about our families. It's not a criticism. It's just kind of a fact of life. It's part and parcel of growing up in modern society.
Father's Knows Best was a TV show.
Yeah, and even there, some of the times
There was dysfunction.
there was dysfunction. That was the thing that we were working through. You know, okay, it's not all. We went from Father Knows Best to Archie Bunker, and now we're with Modern Family. You know,
And it's funny too because Modern Family and it's satirizes,
yeah,
you know, reality.
it's a satirical look at reality.
Yeah.
And the deal is this: it happens. You know, there's been many changes in our society. Women joining the workforce, that was a big deal in America. Back in the older days, there was a mom in the house and a father out earning the living, and that's how it was. And
Or even further, you know, look at the advent of how many grandparents are raising children today.
yeah, because their
That's-
children are, yeah.
That's
One of my
just so prevalent.
One of my dearest friends is raising her grandson, and she's a 62-year-old mom of a 5-year-old.
Yep.
And she's doing the best she can with what she's got, but that's the reality.
Well, and also the single parents are so much more prevalent today. As you know, I referenced my darling Elizabeth. I raised my little girl by myself, and I'm truly grateful that I was able to do a good job, and she turned out to be a wonderful woman. But you know something, with all the love and no matter what, I'm not a mom.
And not only that, you can't be on all the time.
Yep.
Everybody has to have some downtime, you
Yep.
know. I remember Irma Bombeck said, "If they're alive when he gets home from work, I've done my job." You know, I mean, that's just kind of it was a joke, and she's a funny lady, but a lot of women laugh because they were like, "Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean." And some of the things we laugh about, the Modern Family, the TV shows like that, we're laughing because we identify, because we've had some brokenness in our own homes. We've had these times where we couldn't feel our feelings. We couldn't express our feelings. We felt them, but we couldn't express them, so we had to store them. Many of us stuffed them, and each of us are going to react in those 3 ways we talked about. The fight, the flight, or the freeze. And what sparks the response is strong emotion. So you could be going through your day when when something happens and it sparks a strong emotion in you, and you're going to have to react. You might fight, you might run. Those are 2 relatively self-descriptive avenues of reaction. But those of us who freeze set ourselves up because we will deal with the emotion eventually. Just because we freeze or we stuff our emotions, the strong emotion, it isn't gone. Stuffed emotions come back. Years ago I wrote that children's book called Box of Feelings. I think we're out of them, Lee.
I hope you have the file.
I believe I have the file, so I don't think I have it on computer. I think it was pre-computer. You know what I mean? I think I have the original papers, and I have to go through my filing cabinet and see what I have. But it was a great little book for kids because it talked to them about just what we're talking about. And it said, look right down here on your chest. It's your box of feelings. You can't see it? Well, everybody has one. And it goes on to talk about times when something's happening and you have a strong emotion and you put it in your box of feelings. Maybe you're surprised, but you don't want somebody to know you're surprised. So you put it in your box of feelings and act like you're not surprised at all.
You're disappointed and you don't want someone to know you're disappointed.
No, so you shove that in your box of feelings too. Maybe you're sad or hurt. You put those in your box of feelings because you don't want people to know it. But something happens when your feelings are in the box of feelings. They change, they morph, and the day comes when, boom, the box of feelings flies open and anger comes out. You might have stuffed in surprise, but it comes out anger. You might have stuffed in disappointment, but it comes out anger too. Everything comes out anger. Because while they were in the box,
they're unresolved.
Yeah. And you're angry and you don't know why, and you're not angry at any certain person, you're just angry in general. And basically the moral of the children's book was to teach children feelings feel best. They work best when we feel them when they're happening. Yep. If we don't stuff them in the box. So the last line I think is, look down, your box of feelings, it feels best when it's kept empty. Mm-hmm. And basically that's what we're saying today. We're talking about volatile emotions, things that just come out of us. Sometimes they could be things we've been stuffing for years. Maybe we feel less than one of our siblings, and every time we're around them, we feel bad, and we stuff it, and we try to act like we're just this wonderful member of a family, but we feel bad. Well, we go home and we yell at the dog, or we're tough on the kids, or we don't want to be with the kids. Go do your homework, shut your bedroom door, leave me alone.
And disconnect.
We disconnect. And that's what we're talking about today. Do you have memories of a blow up like what we depicted in the children's book, in the box of feelings? Because that's what we're talking about.
Well, and you referenced
We referenced what?
I just lost my train of thought.
Well, Phil was telling us that our break is going to start in just about 45 seconds. So I just want to say before we break, stuffing isn't the only time emotions become volatile, because the environment isn't the only thing that triggers your emotions. Each of us has lived creating thoughts and memories, and sometimes just a thought or a memory can trigger a heavy emotion too. You ever driven by a house you grew up in as a child? It can trigger emotions that you're like you didn't even know you still had them.
I can't tell you how many years the song Not Missing You at All disturbed me.
Yeah.
Because of where I was at when it came out.
Well, we're going to take a break and listen to some news bits. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We're talking about heavy emotions. You've got them. Okay.
All right. It's because when you
he
turned that
came
on
in,
and then it went right to
he just touched the screen. Nothing.
But let me see if I can. get to the desktop. I'm not sure how to get to that.
Here's Facebook.
Yeah, but I want desktop. Well, I guess it doesn't do the voice thing.
Do you want the chair? I can move if it helps you at all.
No, I just want to Dropbox, yes.
Should we cut this and start over? Hit OK or something. So
That turn.
how about up here?
Well, that may be where I can minimize that. It's not minimizing. Okay.
Stop outputting before closing.